Let's get to some American stuff. Shall we? Hold on. We did that. We did that. We did this. No, you don't. Just for the fun of it. Yeah. I'm going to crack my knuckles. If you don't like it, block your ears. Oh, and elbows. Oh, yeah. And back. Oh, that was good. Other side? Okay. And no, I'm not going to do the neck. Amber Heard. I know people out there do not like the fact that I still feel pity on those who do not even know that they are pitiful. I still feel bad for Jussie Smollett, but when he marched out of court with his fist to the air and said, F you to the court, I lost my pity for Jussie Smollett, but I still, everyone is capable of redemption, but the severity of their violations is directly correlative to the amount of time it takes for redemption. Amber Heard is really pushing the limits. I mean, she is pushing the limits of what is. She might be beyond redemption. The only question is going to be, people say, she's got BPD, borderline personality disorder, and therefore she must be forgiven because it's a mental issue. There is a distinction to be drawn between behavioral disorders and manias, things that make you sort of beyond your control. I think of clusters of personality disorders like obsessive compulsive disorder. It's not something that compromises your ability to understand right from wrong. Pathological lying is not something that compromises your ability to distinguish right from wrong. Schizophrenia, yes. Manic bipolar, yes. These are things which actually compromise your capacity to be held legally responsible for the consequences of your actions. BPD, and I say this having known people with BPD, they may have uncontrollable urges or behavioral flaws, but not to the degree that would exonerate them from legal or moral culpability for the consequences of their actions. Just listen to this. Just listen. First of all, I now love Savannah Guthrie. I love Savannah Guthrie until proof to the contrary. She is awesome. She asks the most cutting, scathing questions. She does it with sweet, sensitive eyes, a soft demeanor. You almost feel bad for her having to ask the question. And this is a prime example.
I don't care what one thinks about me.
By the way, I'm going to break this down multiple times because I'm only doing a clip. I can't do the whole thing. I don't care what one thinks about me. If that didn't catch anybody's ears.
I don't care what one thinks about me. I don't care what one thinks about me.
I don't care what one thinks about me. If it didn't perk your ears, it's interesting. It perked mine. It's such an awkward way of saying, I don't care what someone or anyone thinks about me. Because it abstractifies, if that's a word, the individual doing the judging. It's not a human. It's one. I don't care what you think about me. I don't care what anyone thinks about me. I don't care what someone thinks about me. I don't care what the abstract one of a human thinks about me. For me, that's not deceit so much as detachment. But let's just keep hearing this gold.
I don't care what one thinks about me or what judgments you want to make about what.
By the way, because she goes, I don't care what one thinks about me or what judgments, not what judgments one will make about me, you. So it's like, it is the detachment.
I don't care what one thinks about me.
It's the detachment of the individual from the wrongful acts. I don't care about what one thinks about me, but then slips into or what judgments you make.
Or what judgments you want to make about what happened in the privacy of my own home, in my marriage, behind closed doors. I don't presume the average person should know those things, and so I don't take it personally. But even somebody who is sure I'm deserving of all this hate and vitriol.
It's an amazing way of framing it, by the way. Not those think I'm guilty and deserving of the punishment, but those who think I'm deserving of the vitriol and the sort of extrajudicial punishment. And so it's a way, again, of distancing herself from the consequences of her actions. And she's saying, not that I'm deserving of the punishment, but that I'm deserving of the vitriol, just stepping over the punishment. And it's deliberate. She's deserving of the punishment. I don't think anybody should be saying threats, go do off yourself, whatever. I don't think people should be saying that, calling her the see you next Thursday, see you next Tuesday. To say she's deserving of the punishment does not mean that she's deserving of the vitriol, but her, in her mind, she bypasses where she actually committed the wrong to get into the area where people should not be calling her certain names. Again, it's a method of absolving herself of responsibility for her actions by skipping over her wrong and then just trying to get into the wrongs of others, because I think anybody verbally abusing her on social media should not be doing it. But here.
Even if you think that I'm lying, you still couldn't look me in the eye and tell me that you think on social media there's been a fair representation. You cannot tell me that you think that this has been fair.
Oh, it's been fair.
Of course, we also touched on what happened in court and what the jury decided. There's no polite way to say it.
Mm-hmm.
The jury looked at the evidence you presented. They listened to your testimony and they did not believe you. They thought you were lying.
How could, I'll put it this way, how could they make a judgment? How could they not come to that conclusion? They had sat in those seats and heard over 3 weeks of nonstop, relentless testimony from paid employees, and towards the end of the trial, randos, as I say.
It's amazing, by the way. She faults them for being paid employees, and then she faults them for being not paid employees. That's pathological. That is pathological. There's literally no one, except those who agree with her, that she will believe. Paid employees and unpaid randos. That covers everybody, Amber, but for the fact of what they said. And randos. Who calls someone a rando?
From paid.
Who calls another human a rando? Talking about the vitriol and demonizing her on social media. Who calls a normal person a rando?
Employees. And towards the end of the trial, randos, as I say.
I say this right now, and I take a step back. I don't think I've ever called anyone a rando. I don't think I've ever demeaned or degraded anybody for not being important in her conniving, deceitful mind. She's just saying how people were not giving her a fair shake online, vitriol, demonizing, and she just calls people irrelevant randos, as she calls them.
Employees. And towards the end of the trial, randos, as I say.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't.
And by the way, she just caught herself being a real awful person. That face right there, she just caught herself saying, wow, I'm going to look bad for having said that. Wow, that kind of makes me an awful person to degrade and demean. And then she has to laugh it off.
The trial, randos, as I say.
Shouldn't have said that.
So you don't blame the jury?
I don't blame them. It wasn't, I don't.
But that's the face. That's like literally what she said when she tipped off TMZ. Randos. Really should have said that. People, these are nuances, and people might disagree with them, but I think I'm right. And by the way, this is my first time actually watching this far into this interview.
Don't blame them. I actually understand. He's a beloved character.
She actually understands is probably the only honest thing she's ever said, but then she had to throw in the lie. He is a beloved character, and he was telling the truth.
And people feel they know him. He's a fantastic actor.
Their job is to not be dazzled by that. Their job is to look at the facts and the evidence. And they did not believe your testimony or your evidence.
Again,
damn right, Chris
how
Edwards.
Could they, after listening to 3.5 weeks of testimony about how I was a non-credible person, not to believe a word that came out of my mouth?
They heard your mouth. They didn't believe.
We're going to have more of our exclusive interview with Amber Heard first on Today, tomorrow, and Wednesday.
I don't like the Today Show or whatever that show. Yeah, but I'm now convinced that Savannah Guthrie is a damn shark in the best possible way. Not like not a conniving. She has honed the skill of looking so nice, so sweet, so sensitive, so thoughtful when she's sticking in the shiv and twisting it. Like she did it with Justice Smollett's lawyers, and like I thought maybe I was just misreading her. Like she believes them, but she feels that she has to ask the hard questions. Oh, hold on, this lighting now just got a little bad here. That's a little better. Okay. Let me see this. Oh, she didn't feel like it made her look bad. 100% guarantee. A narcissist doesn't recognize their faults. They have none. But no, but I'm telling you now, I'm thoroughly convinced Savannah Guthrie is damn good at what she does in these thorny, hot topic issues. Hot topics. Because she asks the hard questions, but she looks so nice and she looks so sweet when she does it that you can't get mad at her for asking the question. And she gets her subject to feel comfortable to answer the questions. Whereas if I were to ask them, they would withdraw, pull back, and they would say, stop being so aggressive, Viva. You're making me feel uncomfortable. Nobody can say that to Savannah Guthrie. Oh, okay, let's see. I saw some chats here.